How we doing, folks? It's Mark from still in Canada, and tonight we're going to be talking about some new toys I picked up. This is a barley crusher, malt muncher, whichever you want to call it, and I picked up a few bags of grain. So we've got two 50-pound bags of malted barley, and I've got two other bags of straight barley, 6 row, and I've also got a full bag of oats and a bag of wheat. And of course I still have the cracked corn. So, guess what? We're doing an all grain mash. So I thought I'd spend a few seconds and just talk about my new toy. It's a mill that I picked up at a beer supply store, actually. It's the barley crusher, Malt Muncher, whichever you want to call it. It's essentially 2 knurled rolls inside, and there is a 3-roll version you can get. But I wanted to try the 2-row. It's what what they had at the shop. This one also had the extension onto it, which allows me to load in about 15 pounds of barley into here, although I haven't tried that yet. One of the secrets to using these is to have a drill that actually runs slow enough. Now, I have several drills, battery drills, and they're around here somewhere, but they all run a little bit too fast. And what I thought is I'd pick up a drill or I'd make up a motor. So, it was cheaper for me to go. Once again, in the States, in Canada it's called Princess Auto, in the US it's called Harbor Freight, and they are a cheap source of tools. And the tools aren't top quality, but do we really need that here? No, not really. So what I found is this heavy duty geared drill. So I'll show a close picture of that. But it's a geared setup, and the adjustable speed on the throttle here on the trigger, and of course your reverse and forward. And make sure it's going the right way when you go to mill. And I've actually got this turned down pretty slow. So that's top speed. And you could probably run it a bit faster than this. But the thing about that speed is, it's a whole lot less of a mess. There's not going to be near as much dust and flour flying up through here. Now I'm doing an all grain mash, and what I want to do is I want to break up the husks. Now I don't want to powderize these, turn them into flour. That'll just give me some real problems at the end after the mash is boiled. So I'm just going to break these up, open up the husks so I can get at the enzymes and allow them to break down a lot faster once they hit the warm water. And I'm still looking and still trying to figure out what my grain to water ratio is going to be. At this point in time, what I'm looking at is about 2 pounds of grain to every gallon of water. And of course 40% of that grain is going to be the malted barley. Now what I'll do is I'll also add some enzymes to that once I cool down and I get down to just before I pitch the yeast. I'm going to throw some enzymes in there as well, and that's just going to help with the final conversion. But yeah, we're in pretty good shape, and I have quite a bit of this to go through because this is going to be a very, very large batch. At least for me, it's going to be several runs through the still in order to get the full thing done. And like I say, I just want to break them up. I still want to see granules. So if you've ever seen cracked corn, you're looking for an appearance like that. Once again, it's barley, so it's going to be a lot smaller. But that's, from the whole kernel of corn to the cracked corn, that's essentially what I'm looking for here, just in a different ratio. So the grain as it is, the whole grain, I want to run it through here, break it up a bit so that I have pieces, and that'll dissolve and that the enzymes a lot easier, and it'll help in the conversion a lot better. So that's where I'm at, and when we go to the mash bill, I'll write it all down, have it all written for you. And we'll talk about temperatures when I'm doing the mash, and why I hold a certain temperature for a certain length of time, and what I do there. So I'll get on it, and you'll see a couple. Well, did I ever end up with a surprise yesterday? This is the next day from the grinding where I introduced the grinder and all that. I just opened up the bag and I was just about to dig into it to grab my first bit of straight barley. And this is the malted barley that's here. So I've already checked these bags and these bags are fine. But let me show you what I found when I opened up my regular bag of barley. Jeez, good Jamaican music there. So we'll run out to the back of the truck here. And this is the bag that was in the garage. Just the bag that was going to start. So I pulled the cord off it and I just opened it up. The second I opened it up, and I don't see him anymore, but this was full of flower weevils, grain weevils. And I guess it's the heat from the day that's made them die down. But yeah, I'll just post a picture of what I found last night in the bag. It was a bit of a shocker. So I contacted the supplier that I got the grain from yesterday, and he had told me that the bag came out of a certain area in the shop and he was unaware of any issues with it, and instantly sent me a refund. Well, yeah, the refund's great. I will still buy from them again. I was a bit shocked, but he explained the situation well enough that I understood, and yeah, we'll go from there. I still have enough. After the creepy crawlies from last night, I just kind of called it a day, and I'll start, sorry for the shaking there, and I'll start grinding up now. Now I still have a full bag of plain barley, and I've got 2 full bags of malted barley, and I've changed my recipe a little bit, so I'll start grinding up now and get it mashed in within a few hours, hopefully. All right, a little bit more to come. All right, so I opened up the bag and the bag is fine. At least this one's good. This is the malted barley, so that's what that is. I took my scale, I zeroed it out for my container, and now the container doesn't hold a lot, but the scale also doesn't read a whole lot, and this is the most accurate scale I have. So what I did is, I know it holds 4 pounds, so I measured up 2 4 pounds and 2 pounds, so that gives me 10 pounds, and I put that in this bucket. And with giving the bucket side to side shake on a level ground, that gives me my line in which I can draw. If I get a working Sharpie, I think this one's just about done. So what I'll do is I'll level this out again, and I'll get a Sharpie that works, and I'm going to put a line in here to give me my 10-pound measurement. Now, you can always scale and weigh everything and be dead accurate, but I'm quite happy with close enough on this. This means all I have to do now is just pour in the barley from the bag right into the container, and I'll get my close to 10 pounds. And that just makes my life a whole lot easier down the road, because I imagine I'll be doing quite a bit of this. So that's the barley, and the other barley is beside me here. And then inside this bag, I have got some rye flakes. I've got 10 pounds of that, or 9 pounds. So, although not for this particular mix, but there will be another one very shortly that I'll be doing with some rye into it and giving that a whirl. So I'll continue on with this, get this all sorted out, get my measurements out, and then get ready to grind it all.
Super hot worlds roasting at thousands of degrees. Trillions upon trillions of stars.
All right, so if you get one of these, and they are a great tool to have. I mean, even if you do tend to get your stuff milled at the flour supply store, the grain mill supply store, having your own allows you to customize exactly the size of grain you want and how you want it cracked open or put into almost a flour. This one here has worked really well for me, and I've seen a lot of guys using this, but there are some caveats to go with this. When you first get it, most likely you'll have to assemble it. We were fortunate enough that this is the way it was sitting on the shelf. So we just bought it the way it was, didn't have to assemble anything. But there's some drawbacks to that, you know. When you initially start this, all the knurled edges on the aluminum rollers, or the steel rollers, looks like aluminum. Anyways, all the knurled edges onto it are really sharp and they bind. So there is a break-in period. And during this break-in period, you're going to find that it actually torqued this whole thing right out of my hands. I thought maybe my drill's just too powerful, which it is. It's a pretty powerful drill, and that's what I wanted. And I bought it specifically for this. It was a $30 purchase at Princess Auto. Or sorry, at Harbor Freight in the US. So, and the gearing is incredible. Speed adjust right on the throttle, and there's a lock here as well for the trigger. So that was my first mistake, was this being brand new, never ran green before. I turned it on, locked it on, and then as soon as I poured my grain in, not really thinking, I thought the centrifugal forces would keep everything centered, but as soon as I put the grain in, it bound and it twisted right off and started spinning. And the cord went right around the freaking drill. So, caution. The first few times you use one of these, don't do it alone. Have a couple people, one guy, maybe even a strap around here, just holding all this down. Make sure it's locked in. And one other thing I would suggest is, and for the next time I need to use this, when I get some time, I'm going to get rid of this board here. This board is useless. It's way too small. So what I'm going to do is, because I'm not doing a hand crank, and I do have the hand crank that came with it, because I'm not doing that, I'm just using the electric drill. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a bigger board, one that comes all the way over, and my drill has a tapped handle for the top. So I'm going to get the board that comes past and will come up under the drill, and I can come through the bottom with the tap and attach it on there. So now I have a permanent structure right across here, and I'm not going to get it torqued out of my hand. Once again, once I broke it in, and it only took a few times to do that, it was fine. I filled up the hopper 4 times, and I just sat here and ground it right down. You saw me just a few seconds ago do that. So, a great unit, a very useful unit, but be careful your first couple of times. Don't do it alone. You need more hands. I put my belly right on top of the hopper and my knee up on here, and it was still torquing the first time. So, yeah, that's a caution. And I don't like the fact that I've got too much weight on my drill. So I definitely want to build, and being able to lock it into the board would be a whole lot nicer. I'm going to make a thicker board too. So, just a couple upgrades. You'll see that in the future. But for now, I needed this today, and this worked incredibly well. The grain is the malted grain, and the regular grain's all mulched up. So I went with a crack on this, and I just wanted to break it open so you can see how its grains are broken open. And when I throw this in, this will be just perfect. And this will allow me to clean it up at the end after. I'm gonna ferment on the grain, but I should be able to clean up nicely afterwards. Thought of doing it in a bag, and one of the things I'm going to look for is I've got a big unit. I've got the Mash King here, and I think one of the things that is available, there's a large screen basket that fits in the whole circumference, and it'll allow me to do all the boil in a bag in its own metal screen. And I think I might look at that for future purchase. But for now, with all the grain I have, I'm going to have to do 2 separate boils and get this set up and ready to go in. So in today's video, you saw that primarily it was about the new toy, the new grinder, the Malt Muncher. That's what I call it anyways. And it's done an incredible job. So that's what the idea of today's video was. Now you did see what I am doing next, which is an all grain mash. And there'll be another video coming up of how that process is done. And some of the mistakes I made on that process. Right now you can see that it is sitting behind me and it's fermenting, and it turned out to be quite a big little mix here. But that's it for today's video. It's been a little bit long going with the grinder, but it was important. I thought you'd enjoy seeing it and how it turned out, and a couple of surprises, but I was quite happy with it. So thank you for joining today. If you like what you see, please hit the subscribe. It really does help me out a lot. The more subscribers I can get, the more I can contribute to the channel and get it going. And I hope you leave a comment and give any thoughts. If there's something you really want to see, something you're not understanding, let me know. I'll be more than happy to make a video to cover that as well. All right? Have a good day, folks, and we'll see you soon.